Welcome to Top Rated Gym Podcast for the gym owners aiming to take their business to the next level. I'm your host, Andre, and I'm interviewing top performance, best rated, highest revenue, fastest growing gyms in the world, regardless if they have a single location or empire of thousands. If you own a gym and looking for ideas how to get more leads, increase conversion, grow your membership base, or facing troubles with customer retention, maybe your employees or operational challenges, this is your podcast. Let's get started. Welcome everybody to today's episode. I'm your host, Andres Vijovic with Top Rated Gym Podcast. And I have incredible opportunity today to interview people and leaders on one of the most explosive growth companies today. Today's conversation is nothing less than what everybody wants. It's a sales, it's marketing, it's growth. Everybody wants more of it, and today we have opportunity to learn about that. I have Don Cardona from UFC Gym, guys. He is a vice president of sales for US. The brand is growing rapidly, exploding, 100 plus location domestic and rapidly extending. I'm honored to have you today as a guest. Don, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Don, last time we talked, we couldn't stop chatting. Your abundance of knowledge, you have so much in you that I believe the company are blessed to have you on board. I got to say that. And let's start with your story. Where did you acquire that knowledge? You have operation, you have knowledge about sales, about technology, about AI. You can run the business if you can clone yourself multiple times. Tell me your story, buddy, how everything came together.
So I started in the fitness industry in a small boutique gym in San Jose, California in the early 90s when I was in college. Got a chance to meet an incredible leader, Joe Gigancino, and he wouldn't let me walk out. I went in to buy a membership, and the next thing I know, I'm working as a personal trainer. It was a great experience. I got to change people's lives through fitness, which is what I'm absolutely passionate about. And then opportunity came. Unfortunately, the club was closing. There was some financial difficulty, and I went to cash my paycheck and it literally bounced like a basketball. So I'm like, well, maybe the fitness industry is not for me, right? Maybe it's not as consistent as I thought it was. I had an opportunity to meet Mark Mastroff, the founder of 24 Hour Nautilus. Little did I know that he knew people that were in the class I was teaching. And they reached out to him and said, you need to get this young guy in your business model. And so he reached out, touched base with me, and the rest is history. I started as a personal trainer at 24 Hour Nautilus. I was there for probably 4 to 5 months, and then we bought family fitness centers and merged. And that's when you've seen 24 Hour Fitness come to fruition. I stuck with him all the way through. That company sold for $1.8 billion. Many cities and states later, I was living in Phoenix, Arizona for him. I had opened up that market when the company sold. And then I got another phone call saying, hey, listen, our chief operating officer who was with 24 is now going to go to Bally's and there's a reclamation project. And we'd love you to come over there. They're negative EBITDA. They just filed for their second Chapter 11. How would you like to go from the penthouse to the outhouse? So I said, well, there's no better way to test my skills. So I joined Mike Sheehan, and I was based out of Chicago, running Chicago West. We turned that company around and sold it for positive EBITDA, which was a tremendous change for that organization. They had a great long tenured group of people that just needed some leadership. And then from there, I decided to go open up my own gym. I was living out of a suitcase and forgetting which city I was in. So I decided to go ahead and kind of test the waters and see if I had what I thought from a value proposition and brand could sell myself against bigger competitors. And the rest is history. I did that for a better part of a decade. And Mark reached back out again. And Adam Sedlak, who is the CEO of UFC Gym, I was kind of talking to them about a project that I wanted to share with them, was a technology platform that I had developed. And the next thing I know, here I am at UFC and I'm traveling again and I'm running different locations for them, training and developing. And it's been a tremendous experience. I think it's very exciting where we sit position-wise right now as an organization and more importantly, as an industry.
Wow. The best story is always comeback story. When you're going down the hill and you turn things around, there's no better satisfaction feeling of turning things around and making it right. And quite frankly, we thrive on challenges. It's easy to be part of a winning team and everybody's winning. It's harder to take on the challenge and even accept the challenges. Love that part of you, man. And, you know, I want to ask you in your personal and a business, what is your goal? What are you after? How does your life or UFC look like 10 years from now?
So for me, that's a unique question. I think it ties into my core values as a person and as a leader. For me, it's about faith, family, fitness, and finance. And those four things, that's what this organization is about. My true calling is helping other people be able to reach their potential, whether it was an individual client when I was doing training or with a prospective client that is trying to join the gym for a first time and make fitness a part of their life. I look at it the same way for team members as well. So for team members, I just want them to reach their potential. And some don't realize that they can make a career out of this. So being a part of an organization that provides a footprint and a vehicle, like those three letters, UFC, that's huge. Everybody understands what those three letters represent. But the next component, the gym portion, is huge. They have an amazing vehicle here, and to be a part of the leadership team and organization that we've got is a true blessing.
Faith, family, fitness, finance, 4 Fs. It's pretty neat. Love that. And listen, you had some sparks from early on. People recognize within you, like you went to sign up for gym, they recruited you to be a trainer. You went out of the industry, they pulled you back. When things goes wrong, they call you for help. You have that energy, that drive, that you are the one who whatever touches turns into gold. Where is that coming from? Like, how do you feed your hunger? Like, how do you stay hungry? How do you stay driven? How do you stay juiced up the way you are?
For me, it kind of started at an early age with my family, how I was raised. I'm a first generation born here in the US, and my dad barely spoke English when he came here from Mexico and served in Vietnam. Ended up really kind of growing his career. So watching him and my mom grow and being able to forge their way, it basically set the example for me that, if you don't make it here in the US, it's because of you. You've got the best education system, you've got the best platform. And for me, the biggest piece for finding that hunger, I believe in a couple things. Number one, if you find your passion in life, whatever that passion is, you don't work a day. This is a lifestyle job. It's not a 9-to-5 job. It is absolutely a lifestyle job. So you have to embody everything that you're asking your consumers to do. You need to make sure that you are training, that you are relevant, that you're educating yourself on cutting edge science. Obviously, we're still bipedal. We're not quadrupedals yet, right? But the science behind fitness has evolved so rapidly over the last decade, from pre and post workout modalities. Those are the things that inspire me. How do you figure out, how to take an industry that's been around for a while and have it reach a broader spectrum of people than ever before? I kind of liken it to, we're in a recycling business. We're great at recycling people that other people enroll. But what is the true penetration for going out and acquiring more members that have never made fitness a part of their life? Unfortunately, obesity is huge in the US, and there's a lot of reasons why. That's my passion, is going out there and helping people realize the power and the potential that fitness has and the impact it will make in their personal and professional careers.
So for people who are listening here, guys, you see where the mind goes when you ask one question, you get a different answer, but you get an answer that you need. It's all about loving what you're doing and also looking at the world as opportunity. You said one line, if you don't make it here, it's up to you. And that's not only for families that immigrated from Mexico and they're second generation here saying, hey, there's a tougher life outside. I got blessed, quite frankly, for the opportunity to go in and see Africa. And then it was kind of shaky economy. Markets start going down. People are talking about deep depression hitting in the US. And you go to Zambia, to middle of the village, where it represents 80% of Africa, where people live on the $2 a day. And then you see people living in without power, electricity, nothing. Like Mexico from there is like, whoa, world of difference. This is like incredibly poor places. And people are happy. and people are not even aware of existence of something else. They don't have internet. And I'm thinking, we are wondering about our economy going down 15%. Like, we got to go now down 99.99% in order to reach that level. That will never happen. Our biggest problems are somebody else's dreams. And we don't see that way here. At least many people don't. So if anybody has struggle coming up here, it's up to you. Looking back into your own knowledge, skills, ambitions, resourcefulness, and say, hey, this is the golden opportunity. And what I like about when I'm talking about, people who come to this country, there's something called happiness potential, coming from the place where you have same intelligence, same drive, same education, same willing and desire. You just can't do it. It's corruption. It's a limiting capacity, no resources. And you come here and you just excel because you want to and you make it happen. We have something called happiness potential. While somebody who is born here entitled says, I cannot do that. I can't grab the broom and clean up. That's not under my style. They're limiting themselves. So I believe what you said strongly. It gets your hunger. You're born with that, but also you kept it. You didn't get spoiled. You remain humble to get there. And the second part, what I heard is saying you have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll have a job, not the mission, not the lifestyle. That's the difference between people who go on diet, lose the weight, and keep the weight off because they change the lifestyle, not just 7, 15, 30 days diet, lose it, and sacrifice. Make it as a lifestyle. Make it as I love. This is my calling. This is my life. Man, that's pretty inspiring. And now, everybody will be thinking now, it's all easy for you, right? You have your way to the top. But nobody see real what happens on the way to there, right? So can you share with us some of the most challenging moments you have that help you become who you are today?
Being a personal trainer and taking what you do to help clients individually and then running a team and trying to deliver results through others, that was a big challenge, right? So I was very successful at getting clients results, but it's hard to teach what comes innate in you. How do you foster a way where you can systematically duplicate things to be able to drive results? So that was my biggest challenge. So I'll liken it to this, right? Starbucks. It's not that they have the best coffee, but they do something vastly unique. And that was the biggest challenge for me coming into an industry was, think about it. The coffee for Starbucks tastes the same 7 days a week, no matter where you go. If I'm traveling on the East Coast or the West Coast, my Americano is just an Americano. Versus going to a small mom and pop place, sometimes it depends on who makes it. I know what I'm getting. It's consistency, quality, and satisfaction from a consumer standpoint. Being able to replicate what I did through others, that was my biggest hurdle first. And then being able to inspire them to want to do this on a daily basis. I think the biggest challenge in life and in our industry is doing the monotonous day-to-day grind. That's where true brilliance and excellence comes in. You cannot, whether it's making phone calls, getting leads, talking to future, prospective clients, that is the work right there that if you fail to do on a regular basis and you're not persistent at it, that's where the miss comes. And that was a piece that I had to learn. I had to fall in love with that daily grind and then teach others to do the same. Once I did that, that hurdle was one of the biggest that I had to overcome. And then understanding how to communicate for anything, whether it's to prospective clients or to team members, that was the other piece, right? Making sure that what you are articulating, they are being able to interpret that. It's got to be simple. It needs to be easy to digest, and they got to be able to take action, right? And unfortunately, a lot of times when leaders communicate things in a multi-unit entity, they confuse people. The way that they're trying to send that message is very complex. Simplicity is the best thing that you can do in any organization.
So, hold that. Without having this part of process, without ability to transfer the knowledge of one superstar to everybody else, is this optional or mandatory part of the growing business? Could you go without it?
No, you can't. It's
No,
it's
you
a
can't.
mandatory component in order to succeed.
So, and that's a challenge for many growing businesses. Everybody has A players. A players, B players, C players, right? Everybody wants some more of A players. What's your philosophy of A players? Do you look for them to hire them, or can you train somebody who's B player to act and behave like A player? Can you create A players, or they're just naturally born and there's a small number of them around? What's your thought about that?
I think first off, it starts with the hiring process, right? You have to have some key components that you look for. And I'll say this, I don't hire always on skill and talent. A degree is not necessarily what it was worth when I first started. When I came into the fitness industry, especially like we talked about coming from an immigrant family, it was all about education and degree. With the internet and the amount of information at everyone's disposal now, you don't necessarily need a traditional degree to be excellent.
Yeah.
What we have to do as leaders is be open to understand the current talent. You can coach anybody. I hire for attitude. If you have the right attitude and the aptitude to receive the information that I'm giving, I can coach skill. I can coach that. What I cannot coach is the poor attitudes or people that lack the aptitude to be able to excel. If they have that, I'm willing to coach. So I don't look at it as A or B. I look at it as I'm attracting the right talent. And the second component to that is this. You don't hire excellent talent and micromanage them. You have a system and you allow them to be great within that system. There has to be freedom in the framework. Now you have a foundation, but within that foundation, you have to allow people their own personality and character traits that align with the company vision and values.
Don, I love that part because everybody wants A players. Steve Jobs said one A player is worth 50 B players. I classify that as, how somebody can be recognized as A or B or C players. Simple. A players, if they quit, you fight to keep them back. Like, this is the guy you want to keep. You don't want them to go to competitors for more money. B players, doing their job, it's okay. They're replaceable. C players is simple answer to one question. If you're hiring this person again, would you hire them? If the answer is no, you have a C player. A lot of times, everybody keeps relationship with these C players for too long, not letting them go. And by not letting them go, not only that you're sacrificing your experience in business and financial and resources, but also closing opportunity for A players to even show up. And giving examples to people who is not a good example, keeping somebody on board who's supposed not to be there. I like what you said about cultural fit, attitude first. And even when we did evaluation of the existing employees, we count attitude twice. If even in the hiring process, we said no jerks policy. Like, absolutely. I sometimes hire a person because they're so talented, so skilled, so amazing, experts. Wow. And they were really good towards me. But with a team, they become like really, really insulting. And the team literally rejected it. It's like transplant of the bad organ. It's like get kicked out. Now, how do you think about it? You said challenge was like literally turning what you know into other people out. You hire people with great attitude, and now they need to behave like you do. Do you put your knowledge in a written form and let them follow it? Do you do it through daily training? Like, how do you transfer that skills you have into somebody else?
So it's a combination of all of those things, Andre. When you look at it, you have to have a foundation. There has to be a baseline that you utilize for curriculum, and it needs to be very structured, right? So there's got to be a solid onboarding process. The worst thing you can do is onboard somebody wrong. That is on you as a leader, right? And so I'll give you a prime example. We just brought on 4 new managers and we brought them into our corporate office. And I believe creating one of the things that I did when I took over my role here is I made that office as the crown jewel, right? And it's one word, accountability. It's accountability to achieve greatness, whether that is through performance management or empowering leaders through education and curriculum to achieve their greatness. There is accountability at every level. So setting clear and concise standards. We have a program, which is amazing, that is an onboarding platform that is the central hub for everything that we do. It's called Club Connect. So from CRM training to data management training, to lead acquisition, to sales strategies, to marketing strategies, to drip campaigns, everything is aligned. But at the end of the day, it comes back to aligning all of those things to mission, vision, and values. They need to understand their why, just like you ask a client when they come through the door. So having that accountability, and then you as a leader, role modeling that behavior is critical. One thing that I'll go back to from my childhood that was imperative to me. Look, I had family members that picked fields, literally. And I remember as a young child, my dad talking about the importance of education and saying, hey, do you want to be out there? And I told myself, there's no way I'm going to do that. None whatsoever. So one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to make it and this mouthpiece is going to get me into trouble, or it's going to do positive things. So I chose the latter route, right? But one thing that I learned is you treat everybody like the CEO of the organization, whether it is a porter or whether it's the CEO. Everybody gets treated with respect. Everybody's role is crucial. Onboarding leaders, what we do is it's a reverse pyramid. It's not about you. It's about the people you serve. The higher you move up, the less ego, the less type of things that you want to talk about you, the more it's about others that you're serving. With that servant mentality, leadership mindset, that's how we excel. So it starts with the foundation of onboarding and training with very specific, precise things. Then we give them the ability to go in and do it in the club live. Then we bring them back, hold them accountable. We have weekly trainings that we do. At the end of the day, though, there is a precise structure to what we operate in.
Whoa. Guys, if this doesn't show you how to build a big brand, this is nothing else will. The one thing is, what I heard from people is effort you put in structuring and creating this. And has to come from the top, has to come from you as a leader, has to come from you started saying how much you got inspired by others in the gym industry, and that rolls down. But instead of rolling down through over-the-shoulder training or one-on-one, you document everything, and then you reinforce it, and you monitor it. You get them accountable. And I love that ownership mindset. Everybody's role is as important as CEO. Instead of going up, you're literally getting a bigger opportunity to serve more people and help more people. Compete on how much humble you can be, not how big title you can have. Damn. Now, man, listen. Sales is one of my favorite projects. If there is one job in my company I would do all day long, would be sales. And I loved it. We are all born little salespeople. When we want something, we get something. And somehow along the way, we learn word no and rejections, and we change. And I believe sales is not only a job, but it's a lifestyle, right? You got to keep leading people, keep leading your kids, your family, your community. It's all about pursuing somebody in greater good. It's not about selling them something, getting something in return. It's about giving and pursuing them how good it is for them. I want to kind of see your perspective on sales. And no organization grows without incredible sales structure. So walk me through that. You coming into the business, what is the first thing you look when it comes to sales department, sales structure, sales flow, and so on?
So I think, when you look at our organization top down, we are a world-class sales and marketing organization that happens to be in the fitness space. That's number one. You have to be world-class at what you do. And it's building a brand that has value, whether it's something that they look at Nike and they say, just do it. Or you look at UFC Gym and what's your fight? We have something that resonates throughout the industry. Every single person has a fight. So when I'm bringing in a sales leader, I want to know, what is your personal fight? What are you fighting for? Is it to provide a better living for your family? Is it to do X? Once I define what their fight is, then I teach them how to talk to clients and define what their fight is. Then I make sure that there's a step-by-step process to do that. Listen, fitness, sales, it's all the same. For me, it is about the art of communication. So the first thing that I look for is, do they have knowledge in NLP, neuro linguistic programming? Do they know how to communicate with different people? And the first step in that process is self-awareness of how you communicate and being able to build bridges to communicate with others. Fitness sells itself. That's the reason why I've been passionate about what we do. This isn't an arbitrary project where I'm talking to someone about furniture, whether you want pine or birch, and it's going to fit into this painting. This is about building a vision through others that they can't see right now. You got to remember, the commitment that it takes to get someone in shape, it's a lifestyle change. It's something that they have not been able to do on their own. So for me, the sales process for us, it goes back to that first word that I talked about, accountability. If you don't know how to hold yourself accountable, you're not going to be able to hold others accountable. So that first step is making sure that you incorporate fitness and wellness. So I'm going to be very transparent. To me, if you don't embody fitness in your own life, it's going to be vastly difficult for you to talk to someone else and motivate them. What I've found is that the older you get in this industry and the more you make fitness a priority, that is the one topic I can't teach any salesperson. You walk through a room, if you are in shape, you command a different level of respect from others because you can't just buy that. It's something that you have to put in, and it shows discipline, it shows action, and it shows something that you are capable of delivering on a routine basis. We take that and I teach the mechanics of the sales process.
Wow. Hold on. So you're not hiring people who are great in sales. You're hiring people who are great in fitness, who are great in lifestyle, who live that thing. And their example, even in a visual presence, it's like, boom, I want that.
100%.
You need to buy into it. Like, you don't want somebody who looks great, maybe have great genomes or history of the good workout and just doesn't do it anymore. And one thing when you said about brand, I remember Steve Jobs' words, his definition of the brand. Because brand is not just a logo, selection of the colors, or how your website looks like, or brochures. He spoke about deposit of the credits. Every time you do something great for the customer, it's like you deposited credit for the brand. And more great things you do, the bigger deposit you have. Yes, sometimes you'll have glitches and they'll take negative withdrawal, right, from your brand, but it's consistently building up value. I remember Apple, every time I call them, I'm impressed with their results, with their service. Same thing for Bose, high premium brands have it. I have a Bose system for the last 7 years. It works perfectly. I moved it a couple times. I messed something up on my subwoofer, and I call them just to say, hey, can I get replica for just this subwoofer? It's making some weird smells like it's gonna burn. And they said, okay, we'll send you box. Let's try to repair it. They send me shipping box. They repair the unit. They send me back, no cost, zero fee. And that's 7 years after the warranty expired. I said that I told that story to everyone, and that's the brand I'm gonna stick with it. So it's a credit-based system. Every time you do something good, you add it. But keep in mind, one bad thing can take 10 credits away so easily, hundreds. It's so easy to destroy reputation if you don't take care of it. So well stated. Now, why? Focus on teaching how to teach the clients to find their fight. That's first time I hear it, because UFC, it's all about fight, but it's not about fight winning in the competition. It's fight on a daily battle. It's how you fight. That's pretty inspiring. You find what UFC stands for to find in every other person. Whoa. Now, sales. Let's say you find a great person. How long it takes you to get them ready to be at their full potential when it comes to sales?
It depends on the individual. So for me, it's our culture, right? Like we talked about, for UFC, we have 6-year-olds all the way to seniors, right?
Yes.
Our whole goal is to find that fight. I can fit every boutique, every big box within my 4 walls. We have a very unique experience and a vast value proposition. The fastest way for someone to learn how to sell is to do. You have to take a skills and technique class. You have to do jujitsu, both gi and no gi. You need to do a family class, a yoga class, a spin class. You must go through a training session with a coach. How do you speak to something that you don't have a point of reference? You said something that is the foundation for what we do. I look at my sales leaders inside of our organization, and I talk about this all the time. This is an emotional ATM machine. You cannot make withdrawals and ask for things that you have not deposited. So before I get to a sales process, I have to be able to make emotional deposits throughout that tour. And I like using things with feature. This is something that will help tie you in to win your fight. Do you see how that will help? So I'm getting all the confirmation that I need throughout that tour. But one thing that we forget, and that is something that coming from a different country, I learned with parents, is ask permission. Don't assume. And so that's where respect comes in. And we're big on that martial arts word, right? Respect is everything. When you think about that, if I ask for permission to show you something, now I'm gaining that confidence from the consumer because they love to talk about themselves. So once my salespeople go through and they're able to go and experience everything that we offer, from recovery services to taking our supplements to whatever it is, there's a checklist of things that they do. Now they can speak about it.
Whoa. You are running through Kaizen model from Japanese, Mr. Toyota. When he hires person, top engineers, goes down to manufacturing field. It's like, you got to stay here, experience what these guys are doing and working so you can understand what their work is. It's like working through experiences. And I met a coach who is parenting coach. And I asked her, how many kids do you have? She says, I don't have kids. And then you ask yourself, how the heck can you be a great parent? You know, my wife used to go to Zumba classes, and there's a Zumba coach there that she's the biggest, most heaviest woman in the class. And she just couldn't stay motivated. Like, my God, what the heck she's doing? She's never losing weight. She's chunky as chunky you can be. Yes, she's working out, but it's not driving you. It's like, what is? And I don't believe that every gym does what you do. Let them experience. I heard one time Tony says, believe is what you see if you read the book. Belief is just a poor substitute for experience. You cannot compare it and just need to go there. If you don't know what the cleansing means, diet, sugar-free diet or detox, you don't know feeling of hunger, you cannot teach somebody else. You cannot transfer that unless you experience it. Wow. Now, on the sales, you obviously have great people, you have great culture, you have great training, you have great vision, and it's inspiring. You know, first time we talked, you inspired me. It was like, man, I got different version of what UFC is. Like, whoa, I want to be part of it. I'm Googling around, like, where is the first one closest to me in Florida? You know, it's a contagious, and that contagious drills to organization. Now, let's go a step backwards. Like, even before sales comes in, let's talk about where the leads come from. What did you find when providing leads and opportunities for your sales team? Where is the best source to get the leads? Is it paid advertising, organic? Is it Google? Is it SEO? Is there any examples of driving best lead sources for your gyms?
I think it's a combination of all the above. Today is vastly different than it's ever been. If you are not driving SEO marketing and you don't understand the cost per lead and the conversion, you're missing the boat. But remember, that's one aspect. So we'll touch on a few key things. Sure. For me, the best SEO marketing is organic, and it's driven through team member and member experience, not just getting a social influencer. That organic content is what creates that buy-in from the consumer because it's a real experience, just like your podcast, sir. When you think about that, you're touching people because they feel the passion behind what you're saying. It's not just a static post that's advertising a price point. That's not what this is about. If you're building organic content where you're emotionally depositing, like I talked about with the sales team, you're giving value, whether it's a macronutrient advice. Hey, here's the benefits of eating protein at these times. You're just giving information away. It solicits that natural human response where they want to reciprocate. They're going to listen for more. Now they want to be a part of it, and now they want to come in and check it out. Don't sell on SEO. The goal is to give away information and build value. Now, with SEO, all your channels need to align, and it needs to be that same voice permeating, right? Mm-hmm. So whether I'm on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it may be, you have different audiences generationally that look at different models, right? The lost art is, how do you do posts and then think about the stories? Unfortunately, some of the best content is put on stories, but it goes away. So you want to make sure that you are posting correctly, that you have the right algorithms, the specific times that are going to give you the highest ratio of views, whether that's AM or PM. You've got to figure that out. There's not a one size fits all. Each audience is going to be different. If you're targeting millennials versus baby boomers, or if you're targeting other audiences, you have to know that audience. Tying that in with Facebook Live, IG Live, that's the key. And then tying it into social platforms like LinkedIn, if you're trying to recruit, all of those things build value. They're brand impressions that create opportunities. Remember, you're not going to sell right away on SEO. The point is to build equity with consumers, where they now formulate a response and say, this is why I believe UFC is X, or why this company is X. So think about it. For me, it's simple. It's like Ferrari, right? When you think of Ferrari, they don't have the least expensive vehicle, but people know what that experience is. You're buying it because it is a state-of-the-art piece of machinery that you can't just go get anywhere. You kept referencing Apple. When I think of Apple, I think of cutting-edge technology. When you think of Nike, you think of just doing things, right? Don't talk about it, do them. What impressions am I trying to build through my SEO marketing campaign that's there? That's one aspect. The second aspect that is a lost art today is the internal art of referrals. So for me, that referral is crucial. I tie that to EFT, and you'll get what I'm saying when I say this. Billable growth is how you compound and grow your EBITDA as an operator inside of this industry, right? But it's not electronic funds transfer. To me, it's earnings for tomorrow. How do I build those earnings for tomorrow and gain stability and predictability inside of my margins as a business operator? Well, that's people-to-people interactions. It's making sure that I tie every consumer to a coach where I can, get them involved in a community. Everybody's going to be different. That's why it's called personal training. There's not a one size fits all. So how do you tie them and anchor them into a community? And then how do I get them to come in at least 2 to 3 times a week? If I can get them with a coach, some form of class or community that enables them to come in 2 to 3 times, I'm going to retain that consumer. Now I've earned the right to ask for a referral. So most people call them buddy referrals in this industry. To me, I call it brought revenue, because somebody is bringing me, because of that experience that they've got. I look at a sale as an unclaimed lead for people that just focus on selling them, and now they're a member, I don't talk to them. That's not what it's about. You should remember people's names, remember facts about them. The best sales leaders that I hire, they're the ones that have those interpersonal relationships with those clients. And you can always tell, because on a holiday or their birthday, their desk is filled with lots of stuff from the consumers, not because they solicited it, because they've earned the right. They're a part of their family now. So they will refer a lot more, and they will spend more and stay longer than anybody else. So SEO referrals are huge. And then that last component is paid social media. You got to be strategic. And what most people don't understand, a lot of companies that are multi-unit entities, they end up competing with themselves. I was just having this conversation with 2 local clubs of ours, and one is a franchise and another is one that we oversee. And I'm like, we don't want to compete for the same paid ads. Like, we're competing against each other. We need to be smart. How do we drive social presence? How do we drive those paid ads, whether it's through geofencing or whatever it may be, and be very strategic to get it to where I want it? But that brand impression creates the opportunity for somebody to get a click. They want to come in. So I have to have some edginess to my marketing. I want to make sure that my drip campaigns for follow-up, whether
Yeah.
it's a missed guest that came through the door or a lead that didn't convert to an appointment and show. How do I strategically target that? So there are very specific silos from a marketing perspective to go after lead inventory.
So just look at the omni-channel here, SEO, referrals, and paid social media. They all push each other forward. And why I'm saying this is because every time there is a social media post or advertising, people are smart today. They will go and Google that business. With, even if it's business like Coca-Cola, they still advertise. They still want to brand new. They still spend hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to advertising. You got to keep doing it. Why? Because people will check it out. Somebody will says, UFC Gym, cool. What is that? They go out on Google. They'll check your reviews. They'll check your presence. If you don't have any presence, you're out. If you don't have social presence, you're out. So you can pay for ads that don't convert. Ask yourself, if your ads don't convert, do you have other parts? Even referrals. People are smart today. They're incentivized referrals. They're non-incentive referrals. Somebody's sending you referrals. People ask themselves, are you getting something out of it? No, let me check it out. Maybe it's a good fit for you. Maybe not for me. Let me check it out. They'll go online and, again, do their own research. Bales and Nielsen study, I think when they asked 30,000 participants, they spent $3 million on a survey, asking who do we trust as a users when it comes to purchasing decisions. 92% of us trust referrals, recommendation people Second most trusted, 82%, is other people's opinion posted online. Not your opinion, their opinions online. It can be reviews, their social media, their presence, and so on. So if you miss one of these chains, if you're great on paid social media, but you have no presence on SEO, it's gone. Everything taps along. And by the way, that social media listening, the moment somebody in your presence said UFC social media, UFC or gym, social media picks up the clue and they start advertising to those people. The moment I start researching about UFC, your ads will kick in and they'll keep reinforcing that decision. Nobody makes decision on the first get. It takes 5, 8, 13, 18 times impressed for somebody to see it. So all three things, I love what you kind of put it together. If I'm reiterating what you just said, without all three, it's much harder, much more expensive. And usually people blame one of these three companies. Like, I give you money and your social ads fail. Then go on Google and see why you have 3.2 stars rating. Who's going to come to your gym? If everybody talks about dirty, stinky restrooms and bad experiences with the people, with the sales process and so on, everything counts, right? Oh my God, this is so valuable, my friend. Don, time flies. And I gotta tell you, I wish we have more time. And I know that we have another topic. We'll leave it probably for another conversation. And it's huge how much technology can be participating in all of this. If you're doing everything manually, it doesn't work. You have to tech enable your business and your people. We'll leave that for another conversation. What I want to really quickly wrap up on this with a couple quick questions, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You are a leader of your team. You're a leader in your company, a leader of your customer. But leaders are learners. I want to find out, what resources do you have to learn? Where do you learn from? Like, what conferences do you go to? What books do you read? What podcasts do you listen? Tell us more about it.
So it's interesting that you say that. I believe that leaders are readers. You have to be a constant student and absorb information through multiple platforms to be relevant to today. Mm-hmm. So podcasts, that's a big one, right? That's why I was honored when you reached out. I did my due diligence on yourself, and you guys have an amazing organization. I have some industry leaders in podcasts. I recently did one with Mind Pump, which is kind of the Howard Stern for fitness. But this is somebody that I started in the industry with. They have a massive following. They're doing some amazing verticals with personal training and being able to bring people that don't know how to build their business and just the way that they bridge gaps. So I'm constantly learning from leaders like that. Mr. Mastroff, the founder of our organization, he's been a key mentor in my life. And here's the beautiful thing about that. If you are fortunate enough to find somebody that's willing to invest in you, like Mark has in me, this gentleman and our CEO, Mr. Sedlak, you look like Adam right now is in Indonesia. So I get to spend time with leaders, just like I'm across the US. I get to spend time and learn industry cutting edge things from people that are seeing it firsthand, that know our industry, know where I've came from, know our lineage, understand clearly what the mission, vision, and values are. They get to learn firsthand about socioeconomic environments globally, what is working, what isn't working, some of the challenges and hurdles that we must overcome now post-COVID that our industry has changed, right? You've got transactional models now that are out there where it's a lower price point of entry versus premium models. I get to learn from those. I have industry leaders within multiple organizations that I admire and respect. I believe each organization can teach you things, both good and bad. So I have a multitude of leaders that I have around me. I attend conferences on a regular basis. I am big. Any new books that come out on neurolinguistic programming, personality profiling, and just overall leadership, those are all key things that I absorb. I go through trade magazines on a regular basis. I try to see what cutting edge leaders are doing. I know this, the more I do this, the more I learn, there's a lot more for me to learn. And I want to aspire to be great. I want to aspire to help others to reach their potential. And the biggest takeaway from all of these learnings, whether it's reading books or finding literature or attending conferences, is that the best leaders are the most humble people, right? They make it about others. They don't make it about themselves. And they don't have an agenda. So any people that I'm around, it's about listening to content and growth, not an agenda. And so I'm very strategic on people that I have in my inner circle, because unfortunately in today's day and age, there's a lot of people that have agendas that they try to formulate. And so for me, I just want to learn. I just want to get better. I want to improve from an operational standpoint, a sales standpoint, a science standpoint. I am constantly absorbing information, and I'll go to trade shows. I'll talk to vendors. I'll experience other products. I am constantly learning because I want to be relevant, and I want to make sure that I can speak my consumer's language today, because what I did in the past has no relevance to today. Today's consumer is vastly different, and I don't want to become extinct. I don't want to be a dinosaur. I want to make sure that I am constantly absorbing and evolving just like our consumers are.
And I love that. I mean, I am a big sucker for education. Every time I drive, I listen to audiobooks. I exceeded 200. I just bought another 10 books because I tap in resource. Somebody recommended it. I wrote them all. I was like, okay, that's my next 2 months of listening. And you can even listen non-audible books. With a Kindle has option, read it. You will not even know they're not humanly read books with AI technology today. But, I just fear that the more you know, then your sphere of knowledge extend, and the more I believe I don't know. It's almost like my amount of unknown is becoming bigger the more I know. And it's giving me hunger to say, hey, how much more? It's just a fine tune about balance. How much time you spend learning versus how much time you spend doing it. There's always fine balance. And what I like is about those total immersion things. Like you go to the conference for 2-3 days, you absorb more knowledge, more ideas, more resources than in previous 30 days. You go in and somebody prepared best speakers around the world, committed their time to digest in an hour 10 years of their knowledge so you can digest it and get the most out of it. So, and podcast as well. You bring people like yourself. You're sharing information. I have people who are individual locations. They are top 3% earners in the industry, how they operate on individual level, how they hire. It's a cross-pollinating knowledge. Without learning, we're experiencing something called A/B testing our whole life, and it takes you 50 years to deliver something that could be in 5 months with the modeling. And the learning is nothing more than just the modeling. What works for your leaders, your mentors? And everybody has a coach and mentor. Don't be that egoistic guy says, I know it all. No, you don't. No, you don't. We have so much to learn, all of us. Is there any favorite conference that you go to? Something that you would never miss?
So URSA provides some unique opportunities when you go. Those trade shows for me are very relevant to what we do. I'm also big on technology conferences. And A lot of those, ironically enough, now are starting to intersect in health and wellness conferences. So like IDEA or other conferences that I've seen. There was a big trade show that just recently took place here in Northern California, and there was one in Los Angeles. They have them in New York as well. What's great is you'll have these opportunities where some of the cutting edge technology people come in and they talk about new technology that's adding value to the industry, no different than equipment. Those are the trade shows that I value. The other thing that I try to stay relevant in is the city that I live in, because I travel so much. This is actually the first week I've been in Northern California for literally 4 days straight. I've been on the road for the last 6 weeks, and I'll be back on the road again next week. What I try to do as well is I am big on making sure that I attend as many local chamber events as possible. I want to learn what makes the business of today succeed, whether it's a small business or a large corporation. And the more I can interact in my local community, it makes me relevant. And now when I go to speak to these people, they understand the value of what I bring to the table, and I understand the value of what they bring. So I think that's crucial. But I'm like you, whenever I get in a car, I'm listening to podcast, growth, education, some form in some capacity, and I balance it. I'm big on the science. I'm big on technology. So I want to absorb that. But I'm also big on, where does that rubber meet the road? How do I take what I learned and apply it? So I have to give myself things, and I'm old school. So I'll take a notebook and I literally write it down, and I make sure that I learned this. How do I apply it within the next week? How can I help others with what I know? That's something that I'm big on.
How do you transfer? And I love that you mentioned NLP. Guys, if you don't know what NLP is, research. Be careful. You might not sleep a couple nights if you find how powerful that is, because neuro-linguistic programming is a science of communication, recognizing clues and body language, and totally getting into, you don't know how to communicate unless you know NLP. It's a game changer. It's a life changer. It's the world of difference. Understanding NLP and how to communicate without communicating, how to communicate to the story of the birds on the tree and telling people story in their mind. NLP is such an amazing tool. I gotta say, Don, you, my friend, shared some incredible bombs today. And on behalf of community, I gotta say thank you. I appreciate you for who you are. You teach us all today what it takes to be successful in this world, not only on the tools, but on the mindset. What you think and how you transfer your brand into soul of the people you're working with, from totally being part of it instead of teaching something that nobody else understands by experiencing it, by sharing what your vision of brand is, and by sharing how you hire and recruit people and how you think about gym industry as a lifestyle, not as something that is short-term thinking. Thank you so much for everything you shared with us today. You're an incredible gift to this community, and I'm so happy to and glad to have you as our guest today.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an honor to get time with you and your listeners. I think I learned as much from you, hopefully, as you got. Time is the one resource that once it's gone, you don't get back. And it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for allowing me the time on your podcast. I hope much success for you and your listeners. If they take some of these guests that you have on and do something with it, they're gonna be very successful in whatever ventures they do.
It's all because of you, brother, and people like you who are leaders in this industry and helping the community. For everybody else, make sure you stay tuned and see you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Wow, what an episode, right? Thank you guys for tuning in into this top-rated gym podcast. We hope you found valuable insights and practical tips to help you tackle the challenges of gym ownership. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on your favorite platform. We want to reach the community. With your help, we can be the biggest contributor, biggest resources for you and other gym owners. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of them, YouTube. If you have any questions, feedback, or topics you would like us to cover, or people you would like us to interview, or if you want to be interviewed on the podcast, reach out at topratedgym.com. Stay tuned, stay motivated, keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off. Bye.